Welcome to Girl Talk with your host, Melissa Ann. Girl Talk is that show which discusses the real issues Black women face being a mom, a dad, a wife, a girlfriend, a sister, a co-worker, a therapist, or whatever hat Black women wear on any particular day. Why? Because Black women are just dope. Without further ado, here is your host, Melissa Ann.
Welcome to Girl Talk. This is Melissa Ann, and what a wonderful day we are going to have today. We have a special guest, Talva, who is a phenomenal author of several books. She is also a ghostwriter, so if any of you are out there looking to write your next book and you want to hire Talva, she'll let you know exactly where to go so that you can sign up for her consulting services. But I'm really excited about today because in our community, we typically don't talk about finances. We are either, single moms sometimes that are in the hole already and we're trying to figure out how to get in the hole, or our parents haven't necessarily taught us all the means and ways in which to save money. My mother always talked about a savings, but if you're in the negative, it's hard to kind of get to a positive with the savings account. So Talva has wrote a phenomenal book. Her title is phenomenal. I'm going to let her talk a little bit about herself, her title of her book, as well as, a little bit about the book, and then we'll have a discussion. So without further ado, Talva, tell us more about who you are, your books, and I'm so excited. First of all, bust out that title of the book because it's so phenomenal.
Thank you. I know everybody loves it. It's called Writing Checks Your Ass Can't Cash. That's it. We can cuss on here, right? I can say that. That's what it's called. Okay.
Yes.
Writing Checks Your Ass Can't Cash. We've all heard that term. We know it. We know it.
You writing checks your ass can't cash. Don't we do it?
All the time.
We do it.
Yeah.
All the time. So,
you.
Talva, tell us a little bit more about how long you've been an author. What are some of the other books that you have and why you wrote that book?
Oh, my goodness. Thank you so much, Melissa, for that awesome introduction. I appreciate that. So, my name is Talva. I come from California. I'm from Sacramento, born and raised. I'm a California raisin. I wrote this book because I've always been really, really good and savvy with saving and also making sure that, I can cover myself. I was my own safety net. Having come from humble beginnings, I learned early in life how to live a frugal lifestyle and remain diligent about being financially stable. Because, I didn't have a safety net. I was my only safety net. I was a young mom. And I had to figure it out real quick. And I didn't have, the ability to, screw off a bunch of money, at the time like other people did. So those habits that I formed early in life have stuck with me all throughout my life. And so my friends and family recognize that in me. And I'm always the person that everyone comes to for, financial advice. And, as far as being a writer, I've been a serious published, or I call myself an authorpreneur, since 2013 when I published my first book, which is entitled Enigma, the Only Child Syndrome. I am an only child, so I'm my mother's only child, though. Papa was a Rolling Stone, so we all know that story, right? But I am my mother's only child, and that was the first book that I published, so that's kind of like my baby project, right? The very first one, and it is deep, and it's not what you think.
So, question. Is there a connection between being an only child and saving habits? Because only child individuals tend to be a little spoiled.
Sure.
So they spend a little more. Those are the individuals that I've run across. Like, if they're the only child, they know someone's going to dig them out. Mom, dad, somebody's going to dig them out of the hole. So they tend to spend more and not so much save. Do you find a connection between your first book and writing a check that your ass can't cash?
So to piggyback off of what you said, yes, there is usually a connection with your description. Only children tend to be, or people perceive us as being spoiled, and we always have someone to bail us out. And that's really true a lot of the times, right? That wasn't my case. That wasn't my scenario, right? But yes, I have friends that are only children. Friends and family, and they do tend to be a little spoiled. Someone's always going to help them, but that is not everyone's situation. And again, I came from humble beginnings. Although I was my mother's only child, I wasn't immune to the environment of the world at the time, being a 70s kid and an 80s kid. And I grew up in the crack epidemic also. I'm a little black girl from the hood also, and I am no different from anyone else that was surrounded by those things. So I may have been, I was well loved, I'll say that, by my parents, but I didn't have, I didn't have a safety net.
Yeah.
And no one to bail me out of anything.
Yeah. Yeah. And back then, I mean, I was also a single mom. My mom didn't have a lot of means either, and she would send what she could, $5, $10, $20.
Sure.
Sometimes. And so where some people now think that is not a lot of money, that was a lot of money to someone who cleaned houses.
Sure.
So where, as a single mom, and I want to talk about that, I want to talk about that, but before I finish this thought, is like, as a single parent, when you're deep in that struggle, that little $20 that some people deem little $20 help do something.
Absolutely.
It helped with food. It helped pay a bill or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, when you were a single mom, what are some of the lessons that you learned that drove you to write the book?
Oh, as a single mom, I had to be very diligent. I couldn't slip. I could not slip. I didn't want my child to go through the things that I went through. And that was really my driving force, making sure that we always had food, clothing, and shelter first before anything. So I learned to take care of those things, the tangibles that were pertinent just to our livelihood first. And I've carried that all throughout my life. I just didn't have any room to slip up. I did not want, my child to endure any of the things that I had. So I made sure before I did anything else to always take care of the essentials. And then I saved, and whatever I had left, I let it get me through those weeks until I was paid again. I didn't really get to, I didn't party a lot or go out and, screw off a lot of money because I just had no room for that. And I'm glad now, I'm glad that I did learn those lessons early. It definitely made a great impact in a positive way on my life down the road.
And what are some of the lessons that you could pass along to perhaps single moms who there's more month than money? So you don't necessarily have the means to save if everything that's coming in is going back out, and you're
Sure.
in the negative when you start again the very next paycheck. So you're digging yourself out from that hole. You're already in a negative. So it's just a rat race pretty much. And it could be a piece of what your book says. Like, you cashing checks, your ass can't. You writing checks that your ass can't cash. So, that's a reality.
It is.
So what do you say to those moms? What are some of the tips that you give to those moms?
Yeah, first thing I want to say is the word grace. Give yourself some grace. Know that it's going to be greater later. And you have to just have patience. Just hold on. It's going to be greater later. I've been there when I'm already started in a negative. I started in a negative a long time ago. And you have to sit down, go to work. I can tell you what I did. Went to work, came home. Many a days, many a months, many a years. Went to work, came home, and that's it. And each time you get paid, you have to put something on whatever it is that's keeping you in the negative, whatever the bill is. And in my book, I talk about the different tactics and techniques. There's a technique called the debt avalanche method. And that's where you put as much as you can on one bill until you pay it off and get rid of it. Even if it's a small increment, when you are in the negative, even if you put something on it, eventually you will get that ball rolling and you will get yourself out of the negative. But it takes a lot of patience and it takes a lot of discipline, and that's my famous and favorite word. You have to have discipline, you have to have patience, and give yourself grace. Don't worry about what everybody else got going on. You know, a lot of times we get caught up with that. Everybody else has this, everybody else is doing that. You'll get there. You'll get there. When you do, you're going to thank yourself for the accomplishments and the discipline from way back there. Just have patience.
Yeah. And a lot of times, like, for example, you might want to live in a certain area because you want your kids to go to, the best schools, obviously. So
Mhm.
you live in apartments that may be a little bit above your means. So, what do you suggest in those situations for those moms who don't necessarily want to live in an area that is rough or an area that the school district isn't that great? They want to give their kids the best, but at the same time, they're kind of struggling. They're trying to make ends meet.
Sure. My advice is something that is not going to be a favorable one, but I would say, don't do that. Don't live above your means. I've always told people, live below your means. That way you'll always be okay. That's that, to me, that's that, trying to keep up with the Joneses. You don't have to do that. I've lived in some of the worst neighborhoods. Hasn't been the greatest, but I kept my head down. I did what I needed to do and dug myself out of those situations. And anybody can do it. It just takes discipline and not worrying about what everybody else is doing. And stop living above your means. You're never going to get out of the rat race or the hole if you're living above your means. And you brought up a good point. Money gives you access to things that you mentioned. What school your child can go to, what neighborhood you can live in, what type of car you live, what type of food you eat. Money gives you access. And so in order to get more of it, you're going to have to buckle down, hunker down, and stop frivolously spending, really, until it's going to be greater later. I tell my nieces and nephews, do something now that your future self will thank you for. And although we're not where we want to be, work at it every day. Every day, pay yourself, and eventually you will be where you want to be. Sometimes we got to do what we don't want to do, or be at work jobs and be at places we don't want to. It's a means to an end. You're going to get there. Got to stay with it.
Yeah, it is. I think, though, what do you say to that person that's like, I'm doing all of those things and I just don't have enough money coming in to, like, I'm looking at my bills. Is there a
Mm-hmm.
way you should look at your finances or your bills
Yeah.
to be able to come out of the hole, save some money, and get to the next level? Because there could be people that are listening and saying, I get it, but I just don't see where I can be, like, shut off anything else. I don't have cable. I don't have, expensive cell phone bill. What is it, or where is it that a person should look first, perhaps,
Mm-hmm.
when they're in that situation?
So, a couple things. Either you need to find a way to generate more income, whether that means start a side hustle, get a second job. Um, it's got to be one of those things. And a lot of times, people do have a starting point. They just are, like you said, you mentioned, I don't have a expensive cell phone bill. A lot of times people do. I just had someone, a week ago now that took one of my courses, and she was like, yeah, I got this app on my phone. I got that app on my phone. My daughter's on my plan and she's ordering this and she's ordering that. And I got all these apps on my TV. And I'm like, boom, there's your money right there. Like, stop today. Cut it off. It's not needed. She's like, when I'm running a business, I'm like, you got to find apps that are free. And if they're not in your plan right now. I'm not saying that someday you can't have those things, but if you really sit down and focus and look at your income and look at your bills you'll see where you're spending money. Are you buying Starbucks every day, every week? You know, where are you? Are you driving everywhere, trying to make every event and going? You know, gas is expensive. Can't go
Mm-hmm.
this week. Maybe can't go for this month. Cut. You can cut the cord somewhere. And if that doesn't work, and if you're already at the bare minimum of everything, then my recommendation is you need to get a second job or market yourself. Basically, find out what you're good at. What are you really, really good at that you can market and sell to people, right? Me, I'm a writer. I'm great at writing. I've been great at writing since I was a little girl. I started marketing myself and doing that, but you got to prove yourself to even draw in attention, right? Don't just slap something together sloppily. Make sure that when you put out a product yourself, that it is a quality product and start marketing it. You have to find a way to generate more money. If you got time, you can make some money. Right now, especially in today's climate, there are so many ways to generate money. Uber, Uber Eats, I think Uber, you can deliver food, you can deliver Ubers. So many ways to generate money now.
Very good point. In marketing yourself, what
Yeah.
are those skill sets? And I think a lot of times we lose value in ourselves and forget that we have skill sets outside of being the provider.
Sure.
And that's where the light bulb went off for me, because I was deep in the struggle, deep,
Mm-hmm.
deep, deep in struggle, where the end one meeting like a mofo,
Sure.
and literally riding on fumes, and trying to survive. And I went for to the church for a loan, and the pastor said, he looked at my car and was like, you don't have a fancy car, so you have a college degree? And I said yes. And he said, why are you selling yourself short? And
Mm-hmm.
that's where the light bulb went off. Like, I had more value to give a company that wanted the skill set that I had. And that's where I started to look at different types of roles and move into, leadership roles. But I think the value in yourself, finding what that skill set is and making it marketable, get you to the next level for sure.
Absolutely. And you said something that was very important. If you're, working for a job, whatever you're doing for them, can you do that for yourself and market it yourself? Right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, just like you said, instead of being so tied to the struggle, start being tied to getting out of that struggle. Just
Mm-hmm.
like you said, if you're doing it for someone else, you could be doing it for yourself, right?
Easily. We
So
give 8, 10, 12 hours to employers, but will not give 30 minutes to ourselves.
listen, you're hitting every hammer or nail on the head that I'm going to next. I always say, always pay yourself. Don't you dare go to work for someone else for 40 hours a week or more and then go home and do nothing for yourself.
Right.
Why? Right? Because rich people sell time, rich people buy time, poor people sell it. And if you don't think that's true, we all work for somebody. The working class, poor, the middle class, whoever, you go to work for the rich people. They buy your time. You sell your time while they're out golfing and jet setting and making all of their children's events. You're at their offices working for them. So after you put in time for them, you need to go home and put in time for yourself as well. Whether that means researching, whether that means creating content, whether that means, starting your businesses, whatever it takes, always do something every day to pay yourself to get you to the next level. It doesn't have to be another 8 hours. It can be 30 minutes, 45 minutes. It can be an hour, but at least you
Right.
did something to pay yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Write a book, you know.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
Talva, I'm dying to hear an excerpt from your book that we could talk through. Do you have something that you could read?
Yeah, absolutely. So first I want to say that my book, this latest book, is actually adult work. It's an adult financial workbook, right? So I'm going to give you an excerpt from
You want to show it?
sure, I'll give you an excerpt from the back pages, the end, once you've gotten through most of the exercises. Writing checks your ass can't cash. So it says, now is the time to find a financial professional that will provide you with investment strategies to help you grow your money and possibly help you make some sleep money. Sleep money means making money while you're sleeping. There's an estimated $80 trillion circulating in the world today, and there's no reason why you can't have a hand in the positive circulation of that cash flow. So there's lots of opportunities out here. We just have to go out and get them. You don't have to wait for anyone to open a door for you. Make your own door. Walk through your own doors and start creating and making your own path to generating more income for yourself. And that's what this book is all about. It's activities. There's coloring activities. There's challenges. There's even accountability challenges. You and your friends or your family members can all, do some activities together and keep each other accountable. Everybody tends to really have loved that one. But yeah, there's a lot of money out here.
What are the top 3 things you think are the most crucial points in your book that individuals can get the light bulb goes off and there's an aha moment?
The strategies to get out of debt, the strategies at saving money, and taking accountability for what is and what isn't and the truth. It makes you take a hard look in the mirror. And that's not to judge you. That's just to get you, the realization of where you are and to say, okay, I'm ready. I think people that are serious about getting their finances in order and getting out of debt will gravitate to this book, will want the book, and will actually take the steps and apply them in their everyday life.
I think people want to get out of debt, and I think people want to be wealthy. I think the missing piece is always the how.
The how, yeah.
So when you talk about the strategy, right? What are some of the things, without giving the whole book away? Like, what are a couple of strategies or one strategy that you could talk through that's simple, like simplistic for someone who's just really at their wits' end that they can implement today and then pick up your book?
Sure. Today, what they can do is stop the bleeding. Anything that is outgoing, that is unnecessary, and that is not vital to your need, cut it out. You just got to stop. You just have to stop. No more extra. All the extra and the foofy fancy stuff and the fancy phones and the, you're out every day or you're having all of that. Nails. Look, we went years. The nail shops were closed for two years during the pandemic. A lot of things were closed, and we all made do without those extra, things. So you can do it now when it's serious, when it's time to get your finances in order. You can do without it. A lot of times we don't really need a lot to survive. So
No.
my advice right now would be to stop the bleeding and just stop. Anything that is not need food, clothing, and shelter. That's all you need to spend on. And anything else, cut it and start putting that money towards your debt. And a lot of people will disagree with this. I don't necessarily think that bankruptcy is the worst thing in the world. People do it all the time. Even companies and organizations do it all the time. They will shut down a business, file bankruptcy, and have another one opened in another month. You see it all the time with furniture companies. You never notice furniture companies, we're closing, we're going out of business. And then a month later, they reopen, same building, same doors, just a different name. They most likely filed bankruptcy and reopened. Now, I'm not advocating and telling people, oh, just file bankruptcy, it's no big deal. But what I am saying is if you've gotten so far, things have gotten so far out of control that you just cannot make any headway and get yourself out of the situation, filing bankruptcy is not the worst thing. It's not. Sometimes we need a restart and a recharge. But the key is the habits that you have formed. And that's something I talk about in the book as well and help you, guide you on breaking the cycles. You're going to learn from this book also, what are the cycles and what is your relationship with money and how those relationships came to be. right? Like me, I came from the struggle. So it helped me build good relationships and good habits. Where did your relationship and what habits have you formed from your experiences with money? How can you break the bad ones, and enhance the good ones? So it goes into all of that. It's a mindset, it's habit forming. You have to change your habits. It's just like weight loss. You can't lose weight or go and get surgery to help you and then still come back and, engorge yourself with food. You have to, it's a lifestyle change. Same thing here. It's a lifestyle change. Your financial health is a lifestyle change. And I talk about all of that in this book and help guide you and give you techniques, tactics, and things to start doing. It goes into, again, your mental and psyche about money, and it will help you pinpoint what type of money person you are. Are you a money avoider? Are you a money worshiper? Are you a money miser? So it'll help you identify where you are, but you have to be willing to, to take that ride.
Yeah, I think too, like, you don't want to, I mean, I'm one of them. Like, I don't want to work and work and work and work and work and not reward myself.
Sure.
So, I've been given guidance that you put a little bit away each paycheck, and then when it gets to a certain amount, you reward yourself with whatever your guilty pleasure is.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you advise that, or what's your thoughts on that?
So I do. I advise balance. And I talk about balance in the book, right? We need balance in all things that we do. So I talk about FOMO, fear of missing out. I talk about YOLO, oh, we only live once. I talk about, keeping up with the Joneses, and I only live once. I work hard. I should pay myself. Well, yeah, you should pay yourself and reward yourself when you're in a financial position to do so. Right? There's nothing wrong with that, but get out of that slump, get over that hump, and get to a place where it's okay to reward yourself. Because if you reward yourself and you're still in the same financial rut, that's not going to be rewarding. You're still going to be depressed, because not having finances can depress you. You're still going to be if you're still in financial ruin, no, you don't. No, don't reward yourself yet. Not yet. Again, it's going to be greater later. So you have to, again, have patience and discipline. Just because sometimes people have, let's say, you want a new car costs $30,000, and maybe you have $40,000 saved. Some people feel like, well, I got it, I'm just going to go spend it. Yeah, technically you got it, but should you spend that? Like, what kind of tailspin is it going to put you in by doing that? So you have to start thinking along those lines. Yeah, just because I got it doesn't mean, I need to go spend it. Although they print it for us to spend it, you just have to be patient and smart about it. So reward yourself when you are out of financial ruin. Definitely I promote balance in everything we do.
Yeah, and that's good stuff, because I think a lot, like you said, a lot of us want to keep up with the Joneses. Well, I saw somebody with this pair of shoes, or, this type of car, and I
Sure.
want to get that type of car too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm that type of person. I like things that are different.
Okay.
But going back to what you said about the pandemic, you didn't have to go anywhere for almost 3 years. So now I don't need to go and buy items, because my mind's trained differently. And I'm also looking at the items that I have. Like, why did I buy all of this stuff? You can't wear 10 pairs of shoes. You can't wear, 20 pairs of jeans. So, that the pandemic has definitely taught me that. It's just, you don't have to be online all the time shopping and looking at stuff, because 9 times out of 10 you have enough shit in
Sure.
your closet
Yeah.
that you're not utilizing. So
Absolutely.
take inventory of that as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better. Yeah.
So
Pandemic.
Talva, it's been awesome
Thank you.
having this conversation with you. I want you to, before we go, tell people where they can reach you. What are some of the other services that you offer?
Sure.
And maybe talk a little bit about the other books that you have out there in the Talva universe.
Thank you. Yeah, so I have a website. It's ttalva.com. That's TTALVA.com. I'm all over social media, Instagram. I even have a TikTok now. My goodness, that's a job in itself, keeping up with social media, and
I don't have
Facebook.
a TikTok.
Oh, I just started. And one more thing, right? But I'm on social media as Talva Author. Um, and yeah, I have I think four other books on the market. One I mentioned, Enigma, the Only Child Syndrome. I have a very X-rated book called Caramel Insides. That one's about two sisters that are high-end call girls, and they are being divided by men, money, and the direction that they want to go in. So the consequences of that um, is going to be a harsh ending for them. I have a dream journal called A Book of Lucid Dreams. It has 12 of my real dreams in it. I'm a lucid dreamer. I dream every single night, vivid movies every night. So I eventually got up and started writing them out and turned it into a book. I have my dreams in the front and the back of it. It's a journal where you can start learning how to journal your dreams and decipher your dreams, understand what certain elements and actions and animals meant when you dreamed about them, and how to become a lucid dreamer if you're interested in the phenomenon. And then I have a children's book ensemble. It's a seven book series, multicultural book. I have a little black girl, Kaya, Harper, Mila, Aiko, Amal, and Brooklyn. So there's a little black girl, a little white girl, a little Asian girl, a little mixed girl, a little Hispanic girl, and it is a sing along. So I wrote and produced the song. It comes with the song. It comes all packaged in its own little cute book, all the books, and then it also comes with a coloring book and a color crayon set. So that's its
Aw.
own little package. Yeah, it's so cute. People love it. And then I have this one. Writing checks your ass can't cash. It is a fun adult workbook to help change your mindset, help you become disciplined and get out of debt, and get your finances in order and start saving. What's next for me? Oh, I do have classes. I teach courses on this. I have a financial literacy basic class. I have a self-published, like a pro course. I have a trademark basics course that teaches you how to trademark your items. And then I have a boss up class that teaches you how to form and start your own business as well. That's everything from documentation, legal structures, legal documents, and all of that. So yeah, next on the horizon, I have a lot on my plate coming already for 2023. I'm so grateful for everybody's support. But I do have a couple screenplays that I'm writing, and another book will be coming, and that one's called Dick's Lies and Alibis.
Oh, we have to have you come back.
Yeah, everybody's waiting for that one. They're like, no, when is the Dick's books coming out? When is it? Like it's
Forget the
coming. It's
money.
coming.
It's
Yep.
like when
I
that book.
know, I know. It's coming. Yep, Dick's Lies and Alibi. So that'll be next. And I'm just a writer of all things. Again, I am a ghostwriter. I have two books I have to get out within the next few days that's completed for two clients. I write anything and everything. I write songs, I write books, I'm a ghostwriter. I work for a company actually called Hot Ghostwriter, so people think I'm being funny I'm like, I'm a hot ghostwriter. I'm like, no, I'm really a hot ghostwriter. So I work for that company, and then I do my own, like you said, consulting. So I have my hands on a lot of things.
Amazing.
Thank
Another
you.
woman that has black girl magic
Oh,
all
thank
over you.
you. Thank you so
So
much.
really excited that you and I met. Really want to have you come back and talk about your future projects,
I will, certainly.
as well as to dig into some of the pieces about the dreams, because you remember your dreams, and I was always taught you kind of don't remember them, because I try to think about, hey, what did I dream about last
Uh-huh.
night, and that's especially the ones that are really good, but not usually something that you remember. So I'm curious about that. So we have to have you come back. But what I think I will do is have a session with your erotica nasty writing authors,
Oh.
and y'all could trade conversation and
Swap
secrets.
stories. Yeah, let's do it. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. All that. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa,
Yeah.
so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate your platform and inviting me on, and I'm very grateful. And thank you so much.
Thank you. You've done an amazing job, and we'll
Cool.
Make sure that, again, go to ttalva.com
Yep.
and learn more about Talva. And as always, I see you because I am you.
You have just listened to the Girl Talk podcast with your host, Melissa Ann. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Google Play. Until next time, remember, I see you because I am you.